Fairy Godmother Inc., your prince is out there. How may I help you? Midnight. Oh, you have plenty of time. Well, enjoy the ball. Come in. Oh. Hi, we don't usually get many walk-ins here.
Well, I tried using the phone, but your hold music drove me crazy. I mean, how many times can you listen to Little Red Corvette?
What can I do for you?
Look, it's been years, and I still haven't met my Prince Charming.
Okay, well, let's see what we have here. May I have your name, please?
Hello? Snow White?
White is your last name?
No, they're both my first name. No last name, like Cher or Madonna. It's a princess thing.
Okay, well, it says here we have made quite a few matches for you. Unfortunately, our computer records only go back to the 90s, but I think we may have your original file. Let's see. Yes, here it is. And hang on just a second.
Yes.
Yeah. There we are.
Yes, so many. They all start to blur together, you know? There was this one, cute English accent. I thought he was a real possibility. But those ears, though. And then there was one whose White Castle turned out to be where he worked. The free hamburgers were nice, though. Look, it's been one disaster after another, and I am sick of it all.
Well, I can't say what
I mean, how much intellectual stimulation do you think you get from some weirdo with a foot fetish or a necrophiliac? There was this one guy. You could tell he was really trying. But when I brought up the mandatory dragon slaying, he looked at me funny and offered to spank his chihuahua for me. I actually would have taken him up on the offer, but he started to get really excited about it. Kind of put me off, you know?
Look, it's obvious you've been loyal all this time, so let's give it one more try. But you're gonna have to loosen up on your requirements.
Like what?
Well, like this one. Must ride a white charger. Now, we have a very nice prince, no charger, but he does drive a smart car. They get excellent gas mileage, and there'll be plenty left over for a nice dinner. Or this one. Must have own suit of armor. How about a nice bulletproof vest? I mean, who really does the whole shining armor thing these days?
What are you trying to say?
Oh, Snow, let's be practical. Here, this is a perfect example. Must be ready to slay a dragon for me. I mean, really?
But I thought these were all requirements. To tell you the truth, I can slay my own dragon. I've never been a fan of this whole damsel in distress thing. And there is no way in hell I am letting some man climb my hair. Would you want somebody's shoes in your hair?
Oh,
Ew.
I really thought of it that way, but in our defense, the traditional norms have worked very well for quite a few heroines. Mostly the ones who don't have strong, independent personalities. But you're not like them. You can think for yourself.
Do you mean I don't have to pretend anymore? It's like I've been trying to fit into a role I was never meant to play.
And we have tried to force you into it, but we have also tried to make you happy.
Like that frog?
We're really sorry about that. I don't know how he slipped through our vetting process. But the warts have all cleared up very nicely.
You know, as long as we're sitting here talking, there's something else I wanted to ask you about.
What's that?
What's with all the cursing?
Well, I don't know what you mean. I think I've been very civil.
No, not that kind of cursing. I'm talking about poison apples and deadly spinning wheels and exile. That kind of cursing. As if we princesses don't have enough to deal with. People are always trying to put us to sleep or cast us away. What did we ever do to deserve all this abuse?
Imagine how boring our stories would be if boy met girl, boy married girl, the end.
I never really thought about that. I guess that would be pretty boring.
So you see why we do it.
No, I don't. We are always having to look over our perfectly sculpted shoulders. We can't even go for a walk in the woods without some evil witch trying to cast a spell on us or lure us into some hut of baked goods. And not even gluten-free.
Okay. We don't usually like to talk about this, but here we go. You're not the first to complain. The fact is, the whole fairy tale matchmaking business never has been all balls and gowns and creature-assisted house cleaning.
Well, you've certainly managed to keep that a secret all these years.
Well, what heroine would trust her fairy godmother if she knew satisfaction was not guaranteed? It would be chaos. We'd have princesses striking out on their own, looking for their own prince. Think of the competition, think of the conflicts. Or there would be heroines leaking over into each other's fairy tales. No. The ramifications are awful.
Okay, I see your point. Beauty and the Seven Dwarfs, Hansel and Cinderella, me and the Beast. But what does that have to do with the cursing?
So we had to come up with a way for these dissatisfied princesses to find another purpose. The whole happily ever after thing was never going to happen for them, and they were starting to feel a little resentful.
I get that.
Yeah, kind of thought you would. So we developed an alternate career path. Evil witchery.
Wait. You mean with the warts and the cackling and the dry hair?
Only during business hours, and not always then.
Go on.
So this became our DS department.
DS department.
Yeah, dark side department. It actually became quite a creative outlet. Department members are encouraged to come up with new and interesting ways to thwart fairy tale matches.
But you're matchmakers. Why would you want to prevent marriages?
No, we're not trying to prevent marriages, but we do have to have a way for the men to prove themselves worthy, and years later, when she's sick of picking up his underwear from the floor, she can look back to the hero he once was.
All right, so more dragons and potions, etc.
No. We actually have some very modern ideas coming down the pipe right now.
Like what? Wicked iPhones? Sadistic Fitbits? Stepsister wives in Utah?
Ooh, very good. You know, you may have a knack for this.
I am starting to see the possibilities here.
So anyway, our dark side department has been working in secret all this time, coming up with the necessary dramatic conflict for our stories.
What do they do in their off time?
Well, that's the ironic part. Now, many of our heroines choose to remain single, finding great fulfillment in their work. Others find mates on their own, have kids, and lead wonderful lives.
Never thought about life outside of a castle. Sure would be nice to have a grocery store nearby. But how does one meet non-princes?
Well, of course, there are non-magical matchmakers, but many of our heroines meet men and women through work.
Like who?
Potion suppliers, broomstick repairmen, evil merchandise manufacturers.
What about anti-social networking?
Oh, sure. We have Instacurse, Charm Book. There's quite a few.
Is there much of a social scene? I will miss the royal balls.
Actually, you'll find they are quite a lively bunch now that they don't have to follow a storyline. And the annual conventions. Great.
There's just one thing. I don't want to become evil. I've been a heroine my whole life. I'm known as the good girl. I'd be giving up my entire plans for the future and lifestyle as it is.
Don't worry. Think of it as evil light. You're really just providing the necessary dramatic tension for our stories and having a great life while you do it.
I think I'd like more information.
Okay, let me see if I can get a hold of our head of HR. She can fill you in on more of the details. Actually, you'll recognize her. She's quite infamous.
Who is she?
Glinda.
The Good Witch of the North?
Not anymore.
Let's say you and I go grab a drink somewhere, and I don't mean a poisoned potion.
Actually, that's the name of our favorite bar, and we can meet her there.
Can I change first? I've been wearing this for a really long time.
Sure. We keep a good supply of yoga pants and tops in that closet back there, don't you, Sally?
You know, I'm beginning to see a very happy ending to this story.
Very good, Mother Inn. Your prince is out there. How may I help you? If the slipper doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. You have to move on. I advise for you and your sister to try a couple of slippers. Okay, good luck. Yes. Oh, good. I've been expecting it. Please have it. Hello. Won't you sit down? Now, what can I do for you?
I don't know if you remember me. It's been quite a while.
Of course I do. I've been hearing great things about your work in the DS department, especially your curses. I just love the phone battery that dies when you're alone on a dark, deserted road. Very wicked.
That's actually why we're here. I love working on the dark side. I've never felt so free, so creative. It's as if after all those years of trying to be somebody I'm not, I've finally come into my own.
Then what's the problem?
It's just not right. It took me long enough to convince her to marry me, but now I've started to question the fact she wasn't a princess for me. She just refuses to play her role.
My role. My role. Do you see what I'm dealing with? I don't know what I was thinking during this fairy tale throwback.
I do see. I think I understand your problem. You, Snow, want to define your own role in your own story. You, Charming, want a classic story, and for Snow here to play a traditional role in it.
That's partially correct. He wants a traditional princess. I want a divorce.
Do you hear this? A divorce? Show me one fairy tale that includes a divorce. I'd be the laughingstock at the next round table beer night. Get a load of him. Prince must not have been so charming. I'd be laughed right out of fairyland.
Do you see what I'm dealing with? It's all about him. What about what I want? What I need?
We've never had a divorce in Fairyland. Yours would be the first. But think back to when we talked about being able to look back at the hero he once was. We need to find a new challenge for him. Like maybe find out what the caterpillar's putting in his hookah. It's worked in the past. Now, I can't name any names, of course, but the Wi-Fi helped. Is much happier now that she can cut her hair to a reasonable length and the husband can finally hang up his climate shoes.
I don't know if that would be enough. I'm still independent, and he's still old school.
All right. Well, then let's talk about this for a while and see if we can arrive at some sort of solution for the both of you.
How long will this take?
What's the big hurry? Is Rumpelstiltskin outside with the motor running?
You're sensing a great deal of animosity here. Perhaps you can give me some idea of how you two got to this point.
All right, if you think it will help. I'm not sure where to start, though.
Oh, I know. Why don't we start where you're living with 7 men?
You're living with 7 men.
It was strictly platonic. I was a live-in housekeeper. You know, cooking, cleaning, laundry.
You did all that for 7 men by yourself.
Well, I could help the usual woodland creatures. But then I would have to clean up after them. Never could housebreak them. It was a trade-off.
Asked her if she had her own bed.
Did you?
Well, space was limited. But Sleepy started snoring the second his head hit the pillow, so it was no big deal.
So she says.
You see, just because I'm not his idea of a traditional princess should be, he assumes the worst.
I really think if we're going to make any progress here, you need to try to be a little more supportive. Like, maybe believe that Snow is telling the truth. All right. Let's move on. How did you meet?
Was magical. There she was in a glass box in the middle of the forest, asleep.
Yes, he loves the fact that I was completely quiet and helpless.
She was so beautiful lying there, and all I had to do was kiss her.
I mean, I was grateful. Who knows how long I would have lain there if he hadn't come along. The dwarves were very good about keeping the glass clean, but for how long? They had their own business to attend to. After all, the gold wasn't going to mine itself.
Okay, so now you're awake. I assumed by the fact that you married that there had to have been some feeling between you, at least in the beginning.
Oh, sure. I admit he did look handsome riding up on his white charger.
Oh, I remember. You had a thing about that in your requirements. I tried to interest you in a prince with a Prius, but you wouldn't have any part of it.
Actually, it was a smart car.
Oh,
I did meet him for mead. It just wasn't the same. He came driving up all smashed into that little plastic box, and it just didn't set my heart pumping.
all right. Then.
We went to a few royal balls.
Oh, you did? Yes, I missed them. They were fun, especially since I was gainfully employed. I could afford my own beautiful gowns and jewelry.
That was humiliating. I tried to present her with a tiara I just bought, and she'd show me a better one she had just gotten for the occasion. How am I supposed to sweep her off her feet?
You could try respecting the fact that I was self-supporting. Like I should have to prop up your pathetic little male ego by denying myself the fruits of my own labor?
She's got a point, Charming. You could at least try to accept her for the strong, independent woman she is. All right, we'll move on. So now you met and some spark was struck. Tell me about the courtship.
Well, of course, I brought her home to the castle to meet the folks, and they were willing to take a chance on her.
Damn nice of them.
And invited her to stay the night.
So yes, let's talk about that.
What do you mean?
Tell her about the accommodations.
They gave her a lovely room with a soft bed.
Soft bed. There were 20 mattresses piled one on top of the other. I had to use a ladder to climb to the top. I couldn't sleep for beans.
Actually, it was P. You can't blame them for wanting to make sure. After all, she's a bit unusual.
Right. I have a brain in my head and I'm not afraid to use it.
They were trying, but the yoga pants and sweatshirts just confused them.
I did wear them with the pointy hat with the veil.
Also weird. I don't think they appreciated the vote for Red Riding Hood buttons all over it. That girl is trouble. Did you hear what she did to the wolf?
So, think back to our original visit. Do you remember my telling you that the traditional norms work very well for quite a few heroines?
Yes. So?
So obviously, Charming's parents are traditional and not expecting someone like you.
All right. All right. I'll give you that. But still, let's talk about the fainting.
Are you all right? Oh, is there something you want to tell me?
No. Fine. Never felt better. It's just that every time there's some sort of crisis, he expects me to faint into his arms.
Also, my supposed to come to the rescue. I can't be the hero unless you need saving.
But I can save myself. Wouldn't it be more fun to slay dragons together?
Together? You can't slay dragons in that dress. It's ridiculous.
I meant to ask you. The last time we spoke, you couldn't wait to change into something else. How did you wind up back in that?
Actually, Godmother, I thought you would be proud of me. I was trying to compromise. Charming was being so, well, charming, that I wanted to do something for him. So I dug this back out. Still smells a little like mothballs, but he was being so nice.
I did appreciate the effort.
Well, that's a step in the right direction. But, Charm, why is it so hard for you to accept Snow for who she really is? I mean, what's the harm in a little colored dragon slaying?
All right, I confess I'm jealous. Snow's got a job, a purpose, an identity all her own. What have I got? Read your own stories. Once I went over and wooed a heroine, who am I? I'm just some pretty boy in a silver suit on a white horse. No job, no purpose, no identity. Man, it felt good to get that out. I've been holding that in for years.
I think I understand. You want a chance to step out of the stories like Snow got.
Is that possible? What about my parents? No, they never understand.
I could talk to them. I'm sure all they want is your happiness.
I'll go with her. Together we can help them see the real you. The one I'm just now getting to know.
We could do this together. I've heard of this thing. It's called rodeo. There's no dragons, but I can actually utilize some of my skills.
I'd like to see that.
No. I don't think the centaurs would approve of rodeo. But we are opening a new division.
Of the dark side department?
No, this would be something brand new. You see, the innovations brought about by the dark side department, largely due to you, have created a need for modernization in our stories. We're thinking of opening a Mod Squad.
Mod Squad?
Yeah, it would be a modern stories department. Do you think it's possible you could learn to think in modern terms?
Like the Renaissance.
A little newer than that. Like equal rights, technology, self-determinism, food trucks.
I could help. I'd be willing to try. After all, someone gave me a chance once. You always did have a good heart.
Oh, I like that. Do you think I could change? This outfit's getting a little gamey after all this time.
Snow, Santa Claus, you remember. While you're changing, I'll contact her head of HR.
Oh, you'll love Glinda.
The Good Witch of the North.
Not anymore. Welcome to the evening news. I'm Mother Goose. Our top story tonight, Fairyland has found itself in the midst of a gold crisis. Snow White has the story. Snow?
Thank you, Mother Goose. I'm standing here with the man whose efforts has caused this crisis, Rumpelstiltskin. Mr. Stiltskin, what can you tell us?
Well, I never wanted any of this to happen. All I wanted was to, adopt a child and retire to a nice, quiet fairy tale. And hang up my pointy shoes once and for all.
Please explain.
Well, without giving away any secrets, I found a way to make all the gold that I or anyone could ever want. The problem is I made so much that the price plummeted. And now I'm stuck with all this useless stuff. You want some?
No, thank you. What do you plan to do about the crash in the gold market?
What can I do? I just need to find a way to get rid of all of this. Maybe I can spin it back into straw. Yeah. The 3 little pigs I hear are looking for some new building materials.
Have you heard from the authorities?
Have I heard from the authorities? The SEC is planning to launch an investigation. What a mess.
A gilt-edged crisis with no end in sight. Back to you, Mother Goose.
Thank you, Snow. And thanks for filling in while Cinderella recovers from foot surgery. You'll be glad to know they were able to remove all the glass shards. This just in. A huge hedge has begun to grow around one of our local castles, home to a prominent royal family. The family cannot be reached for comment at this time, although loud snoring can be heard coming from the building. More details as they become known. Our next story involves a child gone wild. It's been reported that wolves have been victimized by a mysterious vigilante who authorities have dubbed Little Red Riding Hood. According to eyewitnesses, Hood uses childlike charm to manipulate others into doing her dirty work. We have here the actual confession of the woodsman, a local laborer.
I did it. It was like something came over me that I had no control of. She was so convincing, so... I don't know. It's like I couldn't say no to her. I thought she was an innocent, with her little baskets and her red cape. So when she said the wolf ate her grandma, I believed her. I had never chopped anything before but wood. But there I was. It was like I was possessed. And the next thing I knew, there were little bits of wolf all over my hatchet. She, of course, had left the scene and left me to face the music. Grandma wasn't saying much of anything, just muttering about how damp and dark it was in there. I would have never done this by myself. Red's a monster. I'm gonna track her down and I'm gonna make her pay.
A sad, tragic tale. One wonders what is happening with our young people today when this sort of behavior can happen here in our town. Wolves all over are decrying this injustice. There will be a howling memorial tonight at midnight for those interested. And now we take you to Mercury with the latest in sports.
Thanks, MG. Here are the scores. Dragons won, Princes nothing. It was quite the upset. Princesses everywhere will be weeping tonight. Have we seen the last of the Prince's winning streak? Is this evidence of the rumored changes to the Dragon's training regimen? There has been talk of steroids and other illegal substances, but no one wants to get close enough to check for puncture marks. More on this story as it unfolds. And due to last year's unpleasantness at the Cauldron Bowl, all magic wands will be confiscated prior to the witches taking the field. The game is scheduled for Sunday at noon, or until the refs can return to human forms. And it's championship time for the pigs. Teams of 3 will be building houses out of various materials, hoping to withstand the voracious lungs of Horace the Wolf Lupine. That man can blow! Building materials and all the scheduled plans are, as you know, secret. But our spies are telling us that we will be seeing controversial materials arriving. Shipments of Legos, year-old fruitcakes, and leftover Easter peeps have been seen coming into town. And plans are moving forward for the first ever annual croquet game between Fairyland and Wonderland. The Red Queen promises a strong showing as her flamingos have been training vigorously. There is no coach yet announced for a Fairyland team, but rumor has it they'll be recruiting from Oz. All we know for sure is that there will be oil cans littered all over the field. Back to you, Mother. I've got to run!
Thank you, Mercury. It's time for the weather with our weather maven, Mother Nature. How do things look, Mom?
Thanks, Goose. Father Time has been messing with Mother Nature, so I am experiencing a bit of PMS. I needed to have some fun. Tornadoes. Tornadoes have been spotted all over Kansas. A girl and her dog have gone missing. An itinerant wizard was interviewed, but provided no usable information. Poseidon is continuing his campaign for global warming, just so he can increase his realm. Letters have been flooding into the post office. It did inspire me and made me think of ice cream. So I will be increasing the temperatures. Expect to see princesses dancing, mermaids walking on the beach, and beasts coming out of hiding. Candy cottages will be melting, so watch out for sticky puddles. Due to high winds, all flying monkeys have been grounded. The Wicked Witch got so upset she worked herself into a sweat and melted herself.
Thanks, Mother. For the farm report, we send you to Mrs. Old MacDonald.
Well, it's that time of year again. Old MacDonald's out on his annual cattle drive. Here a moo, there a moo, everywhere a moo-moo. Back to you, Mother.
The little match girl is here with the nightly business report.
Business is booming in Fairyland. Thumbelina and Tom Thumb have come together to form a company to sell sub-compact cars. They promise excellent gas mileage and ease of parking. Hansel and Gretel are in the candy business now. Every market day they can be found selling a wide variety of sweets. Folks are bewitched by their flavors. Many have asked their source, but the kids aren't talking. The Emperor has a new line of clothing out. Everyone's very excited to see it. Very excited and very dubious. But we wish him well in his endeavors. Robin Hood is in the hosiery business now. Thanks to his excellent career and ensuing fame, green tights are all the talk. You can find his line of hosiery at www.hotlegs.com.
Tonight, we'd like to get up close and personal with someone we haven't heard from in a while, Peter Pan. Peter, where have you been and what have you been doing?
Well, Mother, after vanquishing the pirates and making friends with the local indigenous population, there really wasn't a lot to do. I mean, how many times can you fly around the same small island? So I decided it was time to leave Neverland and grow up. I said goodbye to the Lost Boys and Tink and made my way back into the world.
That must have been quite an adjustment for you to make.
Oh, yes. I discovered all kinds of things I never even heard about in Neverland. For example, there's this thing called the internet. Now, I had some Nigerian prince kept calling me, wanting to send me money. But I didn't have a bank account, so that didn't work out. Then I went to this city called Las Vegas to see a flying circus show. That was incredible. Well, it did make me a bit homesick. Afterwards, I had all these ladies come up to me on the street wanting to make me happy. That was interesting. And of course, I had to get a job. Well, you try convincing someone that fighting pirates for decades is a marketable skill. So I decided it was time for me to get into my own business, make my new life, well, fly.
What business did you open?
Pan's Flying School. Of course, I did have to use real planes and real helicopters. Not as much fun, but well, it was time to get practical.
And how was business?
It was great. Turns out lots of people wanted to learn to fly. I mean, who knew?
Where did you get all the money to finance it?
Well, the mermaids helped. Turns out in Neverland, their scales are made out of gold. And I had a special relationship with a few of them, and They gave me a very generous going away present. I was very touched, in more ways than one.
Do you ever miss flying without a plane or helicopter?
Of course. But as I get older, it gets harder and harder. Discovered this thing called arthritis. Never had that in Neverland. Really puts a crimp in things. And though fairy dust didn't help at all.
And this is what you've been doing all this time?
Well, mostly, of course. First thing I did was look up Wendy on Facebook, and we got married. We now have 7 kids and 15 grandchildren. It's a good life.
Do you ever miss Neverland?
Oh, occasionally. Usually when the bills are due, it's time to pay my taxes. But Wendy and the kids are good about pretending to be pirates, so I can chase them around the house. It's been fun.
Now that you're actually getting older, do you have any long-range plans?
Well, I intend to eventually sell the flying school, and Wendy and I will retire to a nice, quiet place somewhere. Maybe Fairyland or Wonderland or California.
California?
Yes. I hear there's this place called Neverland Ranch. It's a great place to raise kids.
Well, thank you, Peter, and I wish you good luck.
Thank you, Mother. And I always have my lucky crocodile's foot with me.
Our entertainment reporter, Pied Piper, brings us the latest from the world of theater.
Thanks, Mother Goose. The Little Mermaid will be debuting her one-woman show titled Silence is Golden at the Fairyland Ball. Her opening act will be Canaries in the Mine. I hear they're to die for. I once performed in that theater. The acoustics are amazing. And next week, a dynamic new duo, Beauty and the Beast, will perform their latest waltz. The barbers have been busy since early this morning, and the Beast promises to unveil his new look. Beauty is not giving away any secrets, but she does claim that if people don't go wild over it, the fur will fly.
Our editorial tonight concerns a rising problem in Fairyland, the shortage of babies. The problem seems to be that our princesses and heroines remain virgins even after marriage. Fairy godmothers have been meeting to try to solve this vexing problem. One suggestion arising from these meetings is to bring in sex therapists to advise the heroines. This suggestion was met with a great deal of blushing and fainting on the part of our princesses, so was immediately ruled out. In a side note, there will be a shortage of smelling salts until a new supply can be obtained. There was no word from the princes and heroes, but the interviewer did hear a lot of sighing and muttering. The princesses maintain they are only staying true to their characters. Fairy tale writers are being consulted to see if they can address this issue. Everyone should be prepared for some extensive editing and rewriting. We at the Evening News urge everyone to try their best to solve this concerning problem, or soon there will be no Fairyland worthy of the name. For our medical segment, we have a special guest with us tonight to talk about an issue many of us face in silence: anxiety. Here to discuss how she has dealt with this malady is Chicken Little.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you agreeing to talk tonight. I know this is a deeply personal issue for you. Would you like to tell us how your problem manifested itself?
Oh, it started very simply. You see, one day I was standing under a tree and an acorn fell on my head. In my anxiety, I was convinced that the sky was falling.
How frightening for you.
Yes, indeed, it really was. Especially since no one believed me. Well, I tried everybody, but no one would listen.
How sad.
Yes, I really became a laughingstock at the barnyard.
What did you do?
Well, for a while there, I ran around like a Well, I ran around a lot. Eventually, I did seek help for my affliction. And with counseling and medication, I did realize that the sky is indeed not falling. Although I do get nervous around election time. You never know. I encourage anybody with the same problem to seek help. I'm a much happier chicken now because of it.
Thank you, Chicken Little, for sharing your struggle with us. I know there are some of you out there tonight who have also been watching the skies and will be grateful you came to talk to us. We'd like to end tonight's broadcast with a heartwarming story. After long days of negotiations and tears, it can be reported that Goldilocks and the three bears will be forming a commune devoted to reconciliation and porridge making. They will welcome any pilgrims wanting to reform their thieving ways and willing to learn to live together in peace and understanding. When contacted for a quote, Mama Bear said, "We're just glad to see an end to the vandalism and welcome Goldilocks into our family. The reunion will be delicious." Goldilocks could not be contacted for a response. That's it for tonight. Be well, and remember, fairy tales can come true. It can happen to you. Good night.